Hi, my name is Bill KEEFER. I'm a baby boomer, born in 1946. I was with the United States Air Force Strategic Air Command, Sergeant, 1964 through 1968. With the Cold War and all, I was a United States Marshal in Los Angeles and founder of the Fraternal Order of Law Enforcement. And I don't believe I'm a fruitcake or a nutcake, so I want to talk about regarding UFOs. They do exist, and even President Carter and astronauts have seen them. President Carter and Clinton tried to get information on UFOs, and even they could not penetrate the government secret curtain. President Eisenhower warned of the industrial military conspiracy back in the 1950s. 1950s and the event of the transistor radio and polio vaccine, and I was there. I saw iron lungs and I said, "What's that?" And those things are gone. You don't see iron lungs anymore because we got a little smarter. And then we've got today the mobile apps, Android phones, and more. We've come a long way, baby. We on Earth are newcomers to space. Traveled back to SPUTNIK. I remember SPUTNIK. I was in grade school. And now we have no space program of our own today. So go figure. One clear message is the UFOs have been around for thousands of years, and since 1947 with our atom bomb blast, have got the attention of beings who have been traveling space for thousands of years, witnessed by Egyptians and Mayans, and leaving a mark on planet Earth with those pyramids and temples in both those locations, and more. The crust of the issue is, if they wanted to enslave us, we would have enslaved a long time ago. Helping mankind to understand to stop nuclear war activity, get rid of the bombs, and stop killing ourselves, and definitely do not bring your nuclear weapons and war machine into outer space. This series is to make you think real clear. Look into the stars at night and know we are the newbies on the block. And there are beings out there far smarter than you and I. We have been killing one another since Abel and Cain, and that's a fact. And another fact is we've never stopped. These beings from outer space are here to help us save ourselves from ourselves. Simple as that. I'm Bill KEEFER. Until next time.
60 feet, and I must have made that in about 6 jumps. I asked my secretary if she saw anything, and she said yes. 2 silvery spheres. I unlocked the glove compartment of my car, took out the camera, turned the telephoto lens on the turret into position, set the camera at f/22, picked up the objects in the viewfinder, and pressed the trigger.
The exact date of the sighting was July 2nd at 11 a.m., Mountain Standard Time.
I was driving on U.S. Highway 30 South with my wife and our son Delbert and our daughter Ann. We were on our way from Washington, D.C. to Portland, Oregon on vacation before reporting to my new duty station at the Aviation Supply Depot, Naval Supply Center, Oakland, California. About 7 miles after we passed through Trail Mountain, Utah, my wife noticed a group of objects in the sky which she could not identify. I pulled over to the side of the road, stopped, got out, looked up and saw the objects. There were about 12 of them in a rough formation, proceeding in a westerly direction. They were like nothing I'd ever seen before, although I've logged some 2,000 hours in the air. They were identical in appearance.
How would you describe these objects?
Like 2 saucers, one inverted over the other. I had no means of judging the altitude. It appeared to me to be about the size of B-29s at 10,000 feet.
Did you photograph them immediately?
I watched the objects for a few moments before getting my camera out of the suitcase. Then I lost more time getting film out of the second suitcase and loading the camera. When I first saw the objects, they were almost overhead. By the time I had the camera ready to go, they had moved to a considerably greater distance.
What kind of a camera did you use?
A 16mm Bell & Howell film auto load master with the 3-lens turret. I selected a 3-inch lens and set it on f8 and focused at infinity.
using slow motion?
No, the camera was set on 16 frames per second, and in the excitement of the moment, I didn't think to shoot at a greater rate, although that would have improved the coverage. I centered the viewfinder on the objects and made the first shot. Then I decided that if the sky were darker, the objects would show better. So I stopped the lens down to f/16 and continued photographing. This proved to be a mistake, as the quality of the film would have been better had I left it at f/8.
Did these objects remain together in a group at all times?
No, toward the end, one object reversed its course and proceeded away from the rest of the group. I held the camera still and allowed this single object to pass through the field of view, picking it up again later in its course.
Did this single object return to the rest of the group?
No, I allowed it to pass through the field of view of the camera 2 or 3 times, and then it disappeared.
In what direction?
Over the eastern horizon.
What did you do then?
I turned, swinging the camera just in time to see the rest of the group disappear over the western horizon.
What was the weather?
The weather was bright and cloudless.
Visibility good?
The visibility was excellent.
How does this film you shot compare with what you saw with your naked eye? You have studied the film.
Yes, I've studied it. I'm very disappointed. The film falls far short of showing what I saw with the naked eye, due to the delay in getting the camera started and my error in exposure. If I had this camera in the seat beside me, loaded and ready to go, there'd be no need for questions. The Air Force would have the answer.
What is your full name, please?
Delbert Planet Newhouse.
And you are on active duty with the Navy?
Yes, sir, I am.
What is your official Navy rank?
My title is Chief Photographer. I'm a Commissioned Warrant Officer, United States Navy.
How long have you been in the service?
21 years.
Now, is there anything you can add to the description of these objects?
They had a bright silvery color.
Can you describe some particular detail?
They had a metallic appearance. They seemed to be made of some kind of polished metal.
In an interview which appeared in the Washington Times Herald, Colonel Samper spoke for the newsreel cameras.
The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States. In pursuit of this obligation, since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1,000 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources. Of this great mass of reports, we have been able adequately to explain the great bulk of them, explain them to our own satisfaction. We've been able to explain them as hoaxes, as erroneously identified friendly aircraft, as meteorological or electronic phenomena, or as light aberrations. However, there have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things. It is this group of observations that we now are attempting to resolve. We have, as of date, come to only one firm conclusion with respect to this remaining percentage, and that is that it does not contain any pattern of purpose or of consistency that we can relate with any conceivable threat to the United States. We can say that the recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any agency of the United States.
This is the Montana film, projected exactly as it was photographed. The objects are moving against a 25 to 28 mile an hour wind. This is the film in double frame or slow motion. A slight bounce in the movement of the objects as well as the tower is perceptible. This is due to the handheld camera. The film, analyzed frame by frame, shows the movement of the object to be horizontal and steady.
We will now vary the action and size, and also stop the action. The time for your study. We have just made a jump cut in the film to an enlarged size and reversed the action. You are now seeing the objects exactly as they were photographed, but from a closer perspective. Analysis reveals that the objects are not balloons, nor any kind of known aircraft. The images are very different from those produced by any kind of birds at any distance. The shape, brightness, speed, rectilinear path, steady motion, and separation rule out various forms of optical atmospheric mirages or cloud reflections. Comprehensive analysis has eliminated meteors and other known natural phenomena. The possible plane reflection has been carefully studied and ruled out.
This is the Utah film as it was originally photographed.
The image structure and maneuvers definitely eliminate any kind of known aircraft.
This photographer Newhouse, in his excitement, changed exposure. He believed that by changing density and giving the film, he could clarify the objects. The single object that reversed its course. The bounce is due to handheld camera. Now we study the action of one section of the film. We stop the action. We move in.
Within a 5-mile range, aircraft could be determined. In excess of 5 miles, the speeds are greater than aircraft can achieve, except in straight-line speed runs. The movement follows an elliptical or circular pattern. Microscopic examination reveals that the objects are well focused. Their size varies from 1/6 to 1/10 the size of the moon, as it appears to the naked eye. Their form is circular and sometimes elliptical. This fits the commonly used flying saucer description.
Observe the object in the upper left corner. We move in to study the action. The object upper left will go out of frame on widescreen projection. Observe the motion of the two objects upper right as we rock them back and forth. Now, and up on the front. A closer study of the object in the upper left corner.
Examine this object closely, compared with those objects you saw in the Montana film. These films were taken approximately 2 years apart, hundreds of miles apart.
We drop back to the original perspective and resume. Now the section of the film where photographer Newhouse changed exposure.
Weather conditions, together with the persistence and motion of the formations, eliminate the possibility of atmospheric mirages. Photogrammetric shown that the images cannot be associated with any kind of birds at any distance.
Stop. Now forward again. Stop. We drop back to original perspective. Now once again, and for the last time, the Utah film.
The objects cannot be associated with any known balloon observations.